Partners in Ministry, a presentation of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation, dedicated to growing ministry support networks, introducing people to a cause that connects with their heart, bringing hope and encouragement to our communities as we seek together to serve as Christ served.
Welcome to Partners in Ministry. I'm your host, Dan Smith, and today I'll be talking with Angie Radcliffe and Pastor Anthony Nieuwsma. Angie is the director and founder of Renewed Hope Home Furnishings. Anthony Nieuwsma is the pastor of Grinnell Friends Church. In this interview, we're going to take a look at Renewed Hope Furnishings. What is this ministry? Who is it serving? And how it fits within the church's mission, and more. Welcome, Angie and Pastor Anthony. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Good morning.
It's great to have you. Now, I'm guessing that most of our listeners have absolutely no idea what Renewed Hope Home Furnishings is. So, Andy, let's start it off. What is Renewed Hope Home Furnishings?
Renewed Hope Home Furnishings is a ministry of Grinnell Friends Church where we supply home furnishings to people in Poweshiek County that need them.
Okay. And how in the world did this get started? Why did you do this?
Well, okay. So when I was a school counselor, I was a high school counselor, and I worked with some families, work with them frequently on just helping them with, what their needs are. And in one particular case, this was a couple of years ago, I was working with two of my students and got to talking with their mom. They were living in a homeless shelter in a nearby town. And they were planning to move to Grinnell they had situations that they wanted to relocate to Grinnell. So I helped them with that. And so in that, I started conversations with the Grinnell Housing Authority to help them find housing. And talked with Sue Heiner. She's the executive director of Grinnell Housing Authority. And that was one of many conversations. So we did help them find an apartment. Sue mainly did that. But then they didn't have anything because they'd been living in the homeless shelter for a year and a half. So they didn't have any furnishings at all. So at that time, my husband and I just put something out on our Facebook page, just locally, saying we're helping some people and we need, 2 beds, table and chairs, just a list of items that we needed. And we had everything that we needed within 2 hours, which was really awesome, overwhelming. In fact, I was very surprised about that. And that just told me early on that people in our community are very, very generous and want to help. And so we picked up everything, delivered it to this family, and Sue and I kind of continued our conversations for several months, talking about resources like this. And at that time, there were no other resources in Poweshiek County for home furnishings. She could help them with lots of things, but she couldn't help them with furniture. And so then we started, coming up with ideas on how this could all work. So she was very instrumental in getting this started. So, and then from there, I took it to Jim Kessler, who's a member of our ministry and council, because I knew that he had been working on some things, some community related things at that time. And so kind of fleshed out the idea with him. And then together, he and I took it to Pastor Anthony as a possible ministry for the church. So that's how it started.
Yeah. Well, Pastor Anthony, what was your first thought when this idea was brought to you? What went through your mind, your heart?
Sure. Dan, I love new ideas, especially ideas that I don't have to come up with. So I'm always excited about those. What makes me even more excited is when someone says, here's a need, and I want to do something about it. So, as a pastor, my role then is just to be able to say, how can I help? How can I make that happen? How can I come alongside you and support you? I don't have to be in charge. And I'm thrilled when someone else comes in and says, I want to do this, but I just need some extra hands. So absolutely, as a church, we're like, how can we help you make that happen?
Sure. Angie, is there, you've been doing this for now a little over a year or 2 years? Help me with the time frame. A little
Yeah.
over a year. Are you
Mhm.
discovering that there's a certain segment of the population in Poweshiek County that you're serving, or is it kind of a broad range of people?
Well, um, the receivers is, I would say, a broad range of people, but there's, um, a lot of the receivers are poverty stricken. Um, there's just several issues that they have been dealing with in their life. Some have jobs, some don't have jobs. Um, a lot of them have been through some trauma of some type, um, and many of them that we help are starting over completely. Um, there are, and those are the ones that we usually receive referrals from the Grinnell Housing Authority. Um, a lot of them are only all they have is an air mattress, and so they contact us so that we can try to help, fulfill the need of the furniture now that they have an apartment. So that's mainly who we serve, but we decided early on that anybody that requests furniture, that we are not going to judge. We're not going to decide whether they deserve it or not. If they ask, then we try to fulfill that need.
Well, Pastor Anthony, how do you see Renewed Hope Homes Furnishing fitting into the mission of the Friends Church there in Grinnell?
Sure. Uh, I have. I've only been. I really kind of in my role as the lead pastor about the same amount of time that we've been running Renewed Hope Home Furnishings, and I've always seen our church try to express that we have purpose. There's a reason that we're here in Grinnell, sitting on top of the hill where we're at. That God has uniquely qualified us and gifted us to be able to minister in the community that we've been placed in, and part of that comes back to just being able to see the need. Like Angie said, when she was looking for furniture, there was no one that was meeting that need right
Mhm.
now in our community. And so for our church to be able to step into that and say, yeah, we can fill that need right now. It does a number of things for us. Our purpose statement is to exalt the Lord, equip the believer, and evangelize the lost. And I feel like we kind of check all those boxes on some level with this program, that by reaching out into our community and serving others, we are exalting the Lord through that service. That by looking for those needs and bringing people alongside us to help in that, we're equipping people to be able to meet needs. And then ultimately to be able to speak love and hope and truth and the gospel of Jesus Christ into people's lives. There are a lot of really good programs doing a lot of really good things in Grinnell, Iowa. I don't just want to be somebody that's just going to come out and just meet a need and just stopping there, but that we're able to say we're going to use that in order to be able to speak hope and eternal significance into someone's life by being able to introduce them to the gospel of Jesus Christ too.
Sure.
And so we've really appreciated that opportunity to be able to do that.
Well, when you step out and take the risk, so to speak, of supporting an idea like this, that that's coming from people that are within your church, how do you? Why is it important for leadership to get behind this idea of supporting the members' idea of how to do ministry, rather than necessarily trying to make them fit your idea?
Well, that's at the core of the Friends Church, isn't it? This idea that everyone's a minister, that it doesn't have to be the pastor that comes up with all of the ideas. But beyond that, it's a lot easier to pitch something when someone else's idea to come in and say, it's easier for them to get excited about that than it is for me to try to pour ideas into people and say, now get excited about my idea. So some of that is an ownership piece. I think for some of it, though, just as a broader stroke, the church has spent the last 2.5 years on some level staring at its own belly buttons. That we've gone in and we've been really, in survival mode, just like so many other places in the world have been too, that we're just trying to survive and get by. And I think every church goes through seasons like that. But at some point in time, you have to be able to say, man, that season has to be over now. We've got to be able to lift our eyes back up and look out around us and see the value in why God has placed us here. And so I think for us, this has been one of the opportunities for us to be able to do that, is to lift our eyes back up off of ourselves and back up toward our community and up toward God too.
Sure. I know Grinnell has a college campus that's there in the community, and college people are, at least I was anyway when I was there, are full of ideas. So this could really explode on you if word got out that if you've got an idea about how to serve people, there for sure there's one group here in town that will get behind and try to help support you with the Grinnell Friends. That could be pretty cultural changing for your church.
Right. Yes. We hope
Uh,
so.
yeah. So Angie, how do you go about getting into the home furnishings? Where does it come from?
So all of the home furnishings come from givers, and that's what we call them. That's people that donate furnishings to us. And so they fill out an area on our website, or they contact me, or they contact the church, or talk to Anthony. There's a number of ways that we receive that information. Um, and then we find out what it is they're wanting to donate. And then I schedule a pickup day and we come and pick it up. We store it in our storage units. Right now, we have two storage units, one for living dining room and the other one for bedroom. And so we kind of organize and sort things that way. And so, yeah, we have never had a lack of givers since we've started. That was one thing I was kind of worried about. But like I said at the beginning, we are in a very generous community and a lot of really kind people here. And so, we always have a lot of givers to pick up from.
Great.
So,
So, what are some other than donating furniture? Are there other ways that people can get involved in this ministry?
volunteering, that's one big way. We're always looking for people to help us actually move the furniture, as that's hard work. We do have a core team of a little under 20 people that are very dedicated volunteers that they bring their trucks and trailers and they just commit to moving at least once a month. And so that's really helpful. But outside of that, we do need a lot of additional volunteers because on a typical moving day, we usually move on the first and third Saturdays of every month um, for about a 4 to 5 hour shift. And it's usually takes a team of 8 to 12 people um, to do an average move. There have been times where we've had 2 or 3 teams going at the same time. If we have a lot of coming in and going out, but a lot of that is dependent upon the volunteers. So that's our biggest need. Actually, is volunteers to help us actually move the furniture. Beyond that, we are kind of in the works of kind of developing a better follow-up program. And so with that will come more volunteer needs in other areas.
Sure. Pastor Anthony, are you seeing any increased opportunities in developing relationships with people that you normally wouldn't have contact with as a result of Renewed Hope?
Well, we have had a few new people walk through the doors on Sunday morning, but beyond that, kind of Angie just alluded to a little bit. We're really hoping to try to provide more opportunities. People who are not familiar with church culture, used to getting up on Sunday morning, aren't necessarily going to walk in kind of cold turkey into a church on Sunday morning just because we gave them a couch.
Sure.
And so we're trying to provide just more points of contact right now. That's our biggest point. Again, going back to that idea that we don't just want to meet a physical need. We want to be able to have that follow up. We want to have opportunity for more conversations. And we know that's not going to happen with everybody. But we've been trying to reach out of various ways, whether that's through a text message or a postcard or we're talking about maybe doing a meal for people who have received something maybe quarterly. We're just kicking around ideas right now, just ways again to be able to establish and maintain some sense of contact with our families. Ultimately, we'd really like to see, we're excited when some of those people that have received have turned around and come back and said, hey, I'd like to help too. And to be able, those have been neat opportunities to be able to work alongside people, to be able to give back into that program. And they've been very thankful and very generous with their time too. So again, more points of contact. So those have been exciting.
Sure. is in order to help or be a part of the ministry, do you need to be affiliated with the Grinnell Friends Church, or can you be anyone in the community?
Yeah, I sure hope not. I don't, there's only so much new furniture I can personally buy in order to give away some of my old stuff. So we're always looking for people, obviously, to donate. We love it when we have had some contact with the college basketball program and sent 10 high school, college sophomore, junior guys who are, hitting the weights every year. They don't even break a sweat moving some of that kind of stuff. If we could get the men's basketball program every month, that would be phenomenal. That doesn't necessarily happen though. So we're always looking for people who are willing to come in and help, whether that's someone just calling and saying, I'm one person and I can help for this Saturday, whether that's someone saying, hey, I can put together a team of 10 people and we can be your people for that Saturday. So we've also got some really good relationships with the Chamber of Commerce and some other area, Orange Foundation, to be able to connect out and say, hey, it's not just us here in the community that wants to welcome you, but here are all these great resources that come in a form of a gift bag for every group that receives. And so we're trying to partner with people as much as we can in our community.
That's great. Well, it sounds like this is just one of many opportunities for people to discover the support community that's available through the Grinnell Friends Church, and and explore the possibility of maybe making this a place where it's now part of their life, and not just a donation of furniture, but an integral part of how they do life going forward. So that's pretty great. We're about out of time. So before we go, are there any last comments or anything that either of you would like to say that came in your mind while we're doing it? Pastor Anthony, anything?
I think you did a pretty good job of covering all the bases here today, Dan. We appreciate your time today.
Sure. Angie?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm excited that you've given us this opportunity to help us spread our message, because that is part of what we do too, is talk to people and tell them about our ministry. And so that creates a lot more opportunities for us to serve. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I just want to thank you guys for being with me today and sharing about Renewed Hope Furnishings. So thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Dan.
If you got any questions for either one of these folks, their contact information is right here on the screen. Be sure and give them a jingle, send them an email, drop in, give them a phone call. I know they'd be love to visit with you about Renewed Hope as well as Grinnell Friends Church. You can also find that information on the show notes of this episode on our website or in the description of this YouTube video. On behalf of Angie, Pastor Anthony, Renewed Hope Home Furnishings, Grinnell Friends Church, and Partners in Ministry, this is Dan Smith saying thank you for joining me. Let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.
This has been a presentation of Partners in Ministry, a podcast of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation. To learn more and see the show notes for this and other episodes, visit our website. To stay informed of up and coming broadcasts, subscribe to our e-newsletter. To invest in our mission, donate today.